So today I'm going to talk about the topic that irks me the most when I was in the 9 to 5 world, and that is micromanagers. Okay, and if you don't know what a micromanager is, it's someone who is above you in a managerial sense. It could be the owner of the company, whatever. They're trying to control every aspect of the business and every aspect of what you do while you're on the clock. And that, for me, being a free spirit and somebody who likes to think outside the box, it felt like I was in a prison. It was like a mental prison. And that's what I experienced for the most part throughout my 9 to 5 career, right? And when I left that 9 to 5 world in 2017, to my surprise, I became what I despised most, which was a micromanager. When I first left the 9 to 5 world, it was in the short-term rental industry, the Airbnb business. That was the main source of the income at that time. And I would micromanage the cleaners, I would micromanage the virtual assistants. Anybody I had working with me, I just wanted to control every aspect of the business. And it was very stressful, and at the time I was being mentored, and coincidentally he had recommended a book that we all read together. It was a weekly coaching program. We all read it together, and it was a book by the name of E-Myth Revisited, or I think it's just the E-Myth book. And it really broke down what SOPs are, right? SOPs are standard operating procedures, and your business should have that in place for it to operate. And you should have SOPs for, in my case, the cleaners, right? They should have a SOP to where it detailed the instructions and what needed to be done and when it needs to be done by, right? And SOP should be so simple that a third grader should be able to read it, right, and understand and implement. Now, it may take time to create those SOPs, but the time is well worth it because of the stress and the aggravation and the frustration that you experience by being a micromanager. It's just not worth it. It's really not worth it at all. And sometimes in lives we become what we despise most, and as micromanaging. And anytime, a very simple way to find out if you're micromanaging your life is to look at areas where you're getting frustrated. That's number one. If you're in a environment where you're getting frustrated a lot and you're trying to force something that isn't, or you're not liking the direction that something is going, the hardest thing to do is to let go and just be, right? So frustration, that's one. If you're angry, if you get angry and you're triggered by a situation or a person, that's showing you that that situation or person has more control over you than you have over yourself. You're now micromanaging. You're lashing out and trying to micromanage the situation, and you want to try and control the situation, right? And instead of just being and existing and just being what you are, who you are at any given moment. And when we talk about the questions, why we know who, what, when, where, how, why, I think is the other one. And the only thing you should be focused on is the what. What am I transmitting frequency-wise? What am I being? Because you're always a reflection of who you are and what you are by the circle, by the people you keep around you, right? So understanding that you can only control the what, the frequency that you're emitting and that you're attracting, your state of attraction. You can't control the when. You can't control the how it comes to fruition. A lot of these things are outside of your control. So when you start controlling the how or the when something should come into your life, that's where anger, frustration, and all these negative emotions start to pile up, because you're trying to micromanage your life when your life is in God's hands. And I like to call it source, because I just like to call it source. And source is pulling you through lessons in life that are strengthening your character for all that you want to achieve in life. So you may go through a stressful situation or time in life, but it's teaching you the character needed to be and have and keep what you're asking for most. And I think that the quicker you can release and let go and just be who you are every second of every day, and not allow anybody to, well, my dad used to always say, rent space in your head, and try not to control everything. Not allowing people to rent space in your head, that's number one, but not stressing over anything that's outside of your control. So everything outside of your control, the who, the what, you can't pick. In case of a relationship, you can't pick who you're gonna fall in love with, right? So don't worry about that. Focus on what you want. Focus on the emotion and the love that you want in that particular relationship. And it could be even with a job or a career. Focus on how you want to feel, right? Neville Goddard wrote a book, phenomenal book called "Feeling Is the Secret," and staying in that feeling state is gonna keep you in that state of attraction. If you're in a frustrated state, you're gonna attract more frustration and more circumstances to prove your frustration. So try to stay away from complaining, any negative emotions, and just relax into the state of being. That's the hardest thing to do, is relax, right? But the easiest way to teach yourself how to relax is through meditation, through going into the silence for 20 or 30 minutes. You can start for 5 minutes to begin with, but to get into the habit of not trying to control or dictate every aspect of the day. Okay, so that's all I have for today. If you have any questions, let me know. Drop a comment down below. And remember, if I could leave you with this, understand that if you're not being your true authentic self, you're living your life for someone else. That's it. And you're not here to live your life for anyone else but yourself. Okay? So love yourself and love everyone else. All right? Peace.